The official, the sort of time and motion studies was pointing to a number something like 10 minutes or something?
In our case, because we ran only national, we don't have, the reverse would be the local. We were having a mean and median of 7 minutes.
For the national alone?
For the national alone.
Because on our previous show, Malutikia was saying that one concern she had was that on the ground, the priority being urged upon voters was the reverse, to fill out the local first, and then it's up to you what you do with your national. So this was based on a simulation where the focus was on the national.
National. We timed our local surveys. They're embargoed, but I guess the time will not be embargoed. But some of them are urban areas, heavily urban, almost 100% urban or 90% urban. Even though the candidates were interested only in their specific local races, they asked us to time the whole thing. For them, we were still coming up with 7 minutes. But in their case,
clarify,
these are urban, just urban.
7 minutes
for
just
the entire.
For the entire.
For the entire, but these are urban. If you put in the rural, and these are really these cities are really well developed.
Okay, so what we have here is a potential spread where it's 7 minutes for your
heavily
urban voter,
and 10, 12 for other areas. That's possible.
Not taking into account environmental factors, for example.
Yes, we're worried about the turnout rate. Will we really see a high turnout rate?
Earlier, you were saying, assuming a turnout rate of 80%, and this is the traditional turnout in a presidential election?
Yeah, high 70s to 80 in a presidential.
Now, what has often affected turnout is, first of all, weather.
Yes.
So, for example, in 2004, there was the issue of rain.
Yes.
This year, everyone's assuming it's going to be heat.
Right. So we're worried, especially if the line at the PICAS machine is long, and then during noontime, will people stay on just to have their ballots scanned? We're worried about that, but that's why we have to see what happens on election day.
And then the other question that is of interest to me is that if you have had to have people just going over the little shadings to make judgment calls on which are 50% or not. Now, the machine has a system for determining this, but we're also going to have a system of random audits.
Yeah.
And in which case, there will be people tasked with making the same judgment calls and then reconciling it with the machine.
The COMELEC will have to have guidelines as to how the auditors will call the votes, because the auditors should try to simulate the machine. The overvote is not a problem. The real problem is the improper shading. That's going to be hard to call.
Why are you saying it's not a problem? Because it's just very statistically small?
No, because it's easy to see an overvote.
Ah, I see.
Okay. And the machine will not count that race anymore. Okay. But the improper shading is really a judgment call. What we did was, initially we had 2 girls scolding all our thousands of ballots, but then our operations manager decided to have only 1 girl. So there's consistency in judgment call. In the random manual audit,
you won't have that consistency.
Yes, of 1 person.
It will be groups of the Board of Election inspectors for each precinct.
That is why we're hoping the education campaign will really focus on...
And again, this is a reminder, this is based on it's in the interest of the candidates of all parties.
Yes.
On all levels.
Yes.
It's in the interest of the COMELEC.
Yes.
And it's in our interest as citizens that everyone really goes through the trouble of doing.
Yes, doing correctly.
Okay. Thank you very much for sharing those very interesting findings. Thank you, Professor Tabunda, and I'm Manolo Quezon, the Explainer.